KD, Brooklyn. Yes, it is happening. Kevin Durant said that he would announce everything tonight through his business website. Everybody thought, oh, it must be he's going back to Golden State. No guess again. No, he is going with Kyrie and with DeAndre and Garrett Temple. And all of a sudden, as I said before, the Temple, it will now be in Brooklyn, and the place where everybody's praying will be wherever the Knicks fans are. And with that, maybe I can get some consolement from my good friend who joins us now, knows a thing or two about running organizations that win, and just got to see one that he was part of building. The Raptors go win a championship. Is the great Hall of Famer Isiah Thomas, Mr. 11, joins us here on NBA TV. Zeke, so let me start here. When you look at KD and Kyrie in Brooklyn, how surprised are you that these two do go together and it's the Nets that were the choice?
Not really that surprised. Kyrie is, from that area. Grew up, watching the Nets play. He and his dad, so forth and so on. And the relationship that Durant has with Kyrie, and it just seemed throughout the year, we all were hearing that Durant was going to be looking for a new home. Either it would be with the Knicks or Brooklyn. And most assumed early in the year that it would be with the Knicks. But at the end of the day, I think Kyrie was the deciding factor in terms of which team landed Kyrie Irving. Was it going to be the Knicks or was it going to be Brooklyn? And if you remember the press conference he had earlier in the year, actually in Madison Square Garden, is where he kind of let everyone know that he would be available this summer. I think we all thought that the Knicks had the upper hand in terms of bringing those to New York.
Well, when you mean, come on, man. It is interesting, though.
It was reported that way, right?
Right, it was reported that way.
And then the trade for Porzingis kind of, led you to believe that, and I think a lot of people wrote that maybe the Knicks knew something or maybe they had something in the bag, because when they traded Porzingis, they definitely pushed all their chips to the front of the table.
Well, I tell you what, front of the table in that East, the Raptors last year, obviously, they win the championship. And look, now Kawhi at the forefront, if he wasn't before, for sure, because that's the decision that's left. How much do you think, Zeke, with even Al Horford? I mean, because you sit there and KD off the board, Kyrie off the board, Butler is in Miami, which we'll get to. Al Horford in Philly, that's other guy isn't even there for Kawhi anymore. Do you think it's now a two-team race, either go to the Lakers if you're Kawhi or stay in Toronto, and that the Clippers would be out?
I think the Clippers are still in. I still think it's a three-team race. But if I was looking at it now and was going to place a bet, I would give the Lakers the edge now, just in terms of the team that they can put around Kawhi. I mean, when you're sitting there with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, those three pieces are very attractive. Or if Kawhi decides to go back to Toronto and just wait another year, he can look at the landscape again. However, when you're talking about playing with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you really do have a shot at getting back to the finals and also winning another championship.
Zeke, you know as much as anybody, as a player and in the front office, it's about not winning once. You'd like to try and give yourself a chance to win in that window, right, every year. With that in mind, are you surprised, maybe even disappointed for them as a group, seeing what the Bucks did and how close they were, that yes, Middleton and Lopez back, but that they would seemingly, because of tax money, move Brogdon to Indiana and lose a big piece to their puzzle?
The tax money and the tax, I think, criteria in the NBA, I think that needs to be revisited, particularly in this time when there's so much money available. I think the owners being taxed for trying to put good teams together. They've already looked at eliminating or doing something with the lottery to stop teams from tanking. I think they should actually reward owners for trying to make their teams better and willing to spend money to make their teams better. I don't think you should be. I don't think like Golden State or Milwaukee, which is a small market team, should have to make a decision and lose a player that they've drafted, that they've developed based on a tax situation. So I feel bad that Milwaukee was in that situation. Indiana definitely benefited from it. However, I think they need to revisit the whole tax formula that's happening now with the owners, because the players don't get any money for it. The tax money really just goes to the owners.
You mentioned Golden State, and we were chatting with the great Hall of Famer Isiah Thomas. You and I were sitting right next to each other as we watched this whole thing play out at the end of that series in the finals, and what a dichotomy it was for us both sitting next to each other, just the highs of the high of having Kawhi sit there and then minutes later finding out right about Klay and just how defeated everybody was in the building. How about now for the Warriors moving forward? No Klay, obviously, for a year, even though he stays. You look at a situation with Durant where he's gone and seemingly quicker and maybe swifter in terms of the decision-making process than we thought. Where do Steve Kerr, Bob Myers, and Steph Curry winners now go with this organization from here, Zeke?
Case, you're absolutely right. When we were there, watching, and I made the comment, for the champion and for the dynasties, it always ends ugly, and they never know when it's coming. And I remember Mikhail and I watching the press conference of the Warriors throughout the series, saying, wow, they sound just like we sounded when we thought we could come back, and we thought that there was some more energy and some more gas left in the tank, and there isn't any. So where do the Warriors go now? I don't know if they're capable of rebooting quickly in the next 2 to 3 years, because the free agent landscape, the new guys in terms of Giannis and the young players that are coming up, they're going to be so dominant. We could be looking at the last Warriors championship that they won last year, and they may not get back for a while.
I'll close out with this, Zeke, and appreciate the time on such a crazy day. When you look at the West, which is wild, especially right for a year now with the Warriors scenario, we would have thought the last couple of years, okay, that opens the door right for who? Houston and OKC. Well, OKC's tax numbers makes everybody else feel better about their own accountants, and they can't add. They need to subtract dollars. And Houston seems to not be getting along, tried to work a Butler thing. He's gone. He's in Miami. So what about the two teams that we've seemingly, the last number of months, you and I and everybody else here at NBA TV have talked about as that next team, that next dog? What about the Rockets and the Thunder now moving forward with maybe the same groups?
I look at the Rockets and the Thunder, and I caught a lot of heat, for saying this about the Thunder. I think their window in terms of championship aspirations and winning, I think that window's closed. I think the Rockets' window, has passed them by also with this last year. You had a chance in Game 6, with Durant going down to end it. Then you come back and you lose at home. It's those windows only stay open for so long, and then the new guy shows up. And when the new guy shows up, he don't leave for a while. He's there. And I look at the NBA the way it is right now. When you talk about rebuilding and reloading, hey, the way free agents are moving around right now, you're really only looking at 3 to 4 years in terms of making your team and moving off your team. So having a team that's going to stay together for, 8, 9, 10 years, that's not happening anymore. You got 3 years to 4 years to make your team, and then you can plan on losing 1 or 2 of those players within those 2 to 3 years, because the movement and the money is just, it's crazy. I mean, it's good because it's the best reality TV show on TV right now. I mean, NBA free agency and the NBA season, I mean, it's great TV and it's much watch.
Yes, it is. And as I said, there's a new show in 2 years called The Next Guy the Knicks Will Try to Go After. And Giannis, by the way, no joking, all joking aside, Zeke, closing it up, you and I just might have seen something that never happens again, a team with 5 consecutive finals appearance. Always appreciate it, my friends. Stay well. We'll talk again soon. There he is, the Hall of Famer, Isiah Thomas. When we come back from a guy with all-time handles to a guy with all-time handles, both also good for a soundbite. But how about Kyrie? Now in Brooklyn.